stava a succedere no bordello.
All right, what's going on, folks? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of the Bordello. It is good to be back. So I was talking to Dilo before starting, about what I wanted to talk about this week on the pod, because usually I like to use it. The reason I wanted to become the Bordello and not just be the Calcio podcast is because I found it a little weird to only ever talk about one thing, and I stopped doing that. I stopped only talking about calcio, Italian football. I still do it a lot because it's the thing I like, and I think people that, enjoy this show often have at least a passing knowledge of it and enjoy it as a result. So I was happy to keep talking about it because it's the thing I still enjoy, but it felt kind of silly to do it all the time, because I enjoy talking about things that I observe in the world, be them random thoughts and observations that may be funny or upsetting, whatever the case may be. But I do like to talk about other things other than just Italian soccer. And that's why I changed the name of the pod, is because it's predominantly because I wanted to be able to discuss most anything. The things we'll typically discuss will fall within like a normal range, I guess, of what's typical for us. But generally what it is just things that are in my brain, on my mind, that given week. Things that I want to poke fun at. My instinct is to poke fun at most things. I think people that, talk about things very seriously are often insufferable, because a lot of the time the people talking about the thing are self-important, and I would never want to be that guy. It's stupid. But at the same time, if you have a show, however few people might listen to it, the people that are listening because they enjoy hearing what you have to say, and I don't see anything wrong with talking about a thing. But I think it's important to note that it is very stupid to hear or to want to hear what certain people have to say about a subject that they're not really that intimately involved with. So some crazy shit's been going down in the Levant over the past couple of days at the time of recording. So modern day Israel. And, I would even argue that just being a Jew who's upset about what's happening because they feel they have a horse in the race and talking about it is kind of useless. Like, of course, people could talk about anything, but getting on social media, I think, and just saying, hey, here's where I stand on this matter is kind of pointless. It's going to happen that people do that. If you have or hold any sentiment very closely to you, you will share it, right? If you have very strong convictions, it makes sense to share it. But I do think it's kind of stupid to do so. I think it's kind of futile. Part of the reason why I didn't want to only ever talk about Italian football, which is still entertaining, by the way. I don't know. We're a couple minutes in here, but I don't know how much bandwidth I have here. I don't know if I have the bandwidth to do a whole pod on Israel-Palestine. I don't know if that's even what you guys tune in for, right? But, I don't know what direction I'm really going with this. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about this at all. And eventually I might tap out and start talking about Catanzaro Calcio. I don't know, but I do think it's kind of silly for me to sit here and give you my personal opinion on the conflict because, it doesn't matter. What I think does not matter in this case. What I personally believe from what I've read and observed over the years and what I personally espouse isn't really relevant, you know? I also don't think anyone really tunes into this to be, you know, told what to think. If you're doing that on any pod, I think you're kind of fucking up and missing the point. I think you should try to inform yourself as best you can through consumption of as wide an array of material as possible. If nothing else, just so that you can understand the biases at play. And, you know, this isn't me cowering away and saying, hey, he doesn't want to talk about this or that. No one cares about what Sam Adamo has to say about this. My own family, if I bring this up at dinner, says, Sam, shut up about it. You know? So, I get that what I think and what I'm revolted most by isn't really of great interest or concern to the people that listen to this. And again, I'm sorry for having a serious tone here, but it felt more appropriate than going the other way, which I was going for a while, where I start, because my brain does, I can't take things seriously. Yesterday or 2 days ago for Thanksgiving dinner, we were playing a game on the TV with my girlfriend and her sister and a couple of cousins of theirs and my Jewish brother-in-law. And you know, we had to pick a name. We were playing Fibbage on Jackbox TV, and we had to pick a name, and we were picking stupid names. Like the guy's name is Adam, and he's dating Claudia, and then Adam said his name was Claudia. So we started fucking around and picking different names, and eventually I picked their father's name. Then I said Nonna Rosa is my name, you know, and then someone said Zio Giannine is the name. Like what people who were in the other room, you know. So we started fucking around. Then I took it too far and said. And I put my name as Allahu Akbar as a joke. Yeah, that's very insensitive. And I want to be... and I hate that I'm laughing. This is obviously, like, not a trivial matter. But this is just to give you, like, an idea as to what my other instinct is. Which is to just kind of, like, make light of everything. And I'm not... You know, that was obviously a very satirical thing. My brother-in-law wasn't thrilled about it. And I said, yeah, sorry, that was a little... You know, I'm just kind of... poking fun at the idiots in the street who are saying this, because we were talking about that before. Like, those people are obviously so stupid that like of course I couldn't possibly be on the same page as that, you know. But I'm not gonna do that because it just feels too fresh. I once went on stage after when I just started doing stand-up, like the first time, the first few months of me doing stand-up, I barely did it. I did it a couple times. Like the second time I was ever on stage was like the week that Russia invaded Ukraine. It was before we really like knew a whole lot about what the real narratives, I guess, were, right? And it was before we didn't have a great idea of what the narrative was. The narrative we had was very skewed, and it was when we were all in on, we as the West, were all in on the Putin's a psychopath train. And I kind of went out there and was like, you know, can you really blame him? You know, does he really want his mother-in-law moving in next door? I thought it was clever, you know, Ukraine mother-in-law. And I said it on the pod. By the way, I was kind of right at the time, but it was too much for people at the time, you know. So I'm not going to do that here, you know. Like, I had an instinct to say, again, I would never say this. I'm not coming out on the pod and saying this, but I did write a joke, like maybe in poor taste because it's very soon. But I was like, you know, Hamas, don't like them, but can you really blame them with all the fucking white girls going in for birthright and stuff? Oh my God, I'm here. Like, yes, I'm in Israel, and it's like you don't even know what's going on across. Now again, that was a joke. This is where my brain goes. It goes to weird places, and I'm not gonna tap into that because it actually is a really fucked up thing going on. It really is, you know. Obviously Hamas killing civilians, bombarding the Israeli state is bad. Can we at least agree on that? Can we at least agree on men who were aligned with Hamas entering the Israeli state, taking and raping civilians, taking them as hostages, killing them, beheading them, posting it proudly on social media? Can we at least agree that that's a reprehensible act? Right? Okay, good. So like I'm not coming out here and defending anyone or anything. Again, that's actually about the extent to which I'm going to discuss it. Only if nothing else, only because there is no point to me giving my opinion on the matter, and it is. And I don't want to be that guy that says it's complex. And I know that if you say it's complex and it's gray, people who are very partial to either side will say this is actually a lot more binary than you're giving it credit for. That is kind of foolish to say, because you could say that there are gray areas and not be saying that killing random civilians is acceptable. You could still say that there is a gray area just because it wasn't an unprompted thing, right? There's a lot of in the past 50, 60, 70 years, there's been a lot of tension going on there, and what we're seeing is the result of it. It doesn't justify what exactly is going on. It's a very complex geopolitical matter. What I think is going to happen, I don't see how Israel could possibly lose. I also don't see how, as long as Hamas is around, that it's going to stop. But we have to kind of, by it, I mean, their sporadic barrage of vicious attacks on the Jews in Israel. As long as Israel feels that there's a threat from Hamas in Gaza, they're probably going to continue to launch attacks on them to destroy their military arsenal, which they build up over time. And because, from what I've been led to understand from what I'm consuming, Hamas, it's a very densely populated area, and Hamas tends to hide behind civilians. Civilians get killed as collateral, and then that's kind of a positive, PR situation for Hamas and their cause. Because that is a thing that is going to continue to happen, I don't really see tensions going away really anytime soon. I suspect Israel's going to be ruthless in the pursuit of the war that they've now declared. But let's kind of look at what's happening from a wider lens here. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I think it's important that I just feel, again, I'm just a guy with a mic talking, so I'll tell you what I feel, what I think, my opinion. In my view, it's healthy for people to try to be as informed as possible on most all matters. I understand that a lot of people prefer to live, life, with blinders on, and frankly, that's okay. Honestly, if you want to just, if your greatest concern today is whether Rudy Garcia is getting sacked and whether Antonio Conte is getting called up and whether or not Giacomo Bonaventura is a good decision for Luciano Spalletti, who've called up in the midfield, personally, I think it's a great decision, by the way. I just don't love that he's bald. If he weren't bald, I think I'd have an easier time with him. I'm not kidding. Maybe we'll get to that later. Maybe we won't. I don't know. That's a side point. But I actually kind of do understand why you may not want to get involved in these matters and say, you know what, I don't know what's going on. It's very complicated. It's very confusing. I won't even bother to try to understand it. I understand that. But in my view, I think it is beneficial to at least know what's going on in the world. And I don't mean what's going on in Israel and Palestine. I mean what might be going on on a larger scale. Because what you're seeing in Israel and Palestine is stuff. I believe that those involved truly believe what they're doing. They believe in what they're doing. They have their convictions. I think that the people on the ground are just soldiers. I think they're pawns. The people committing the acts are pawns. They're horrible acts and they're horrible people. They're behaving absolutely reprehensibly, but they are pawns in the greater pursuit of larger powers and potentially, maybe some of the victims, in this case, random Israeli, citizens, Jews, are also perhaps even pawns in a larger thing at play. It has been done before, as a state, sabotage your people or sacrifice a pawn on the chessboard, for your greater good. Arguably, that, some people argue that's what happened with 9/11, right? Let's do this. Let's let it happen. Turn a blind eye. It'll look like a security failure, but we'll let them do the thing so that we have an excuse to go in there and raid them and start war and prop up our military-industrial complex. Take their oil. It's a thing that's been done before. But maybe, I don't know. It's a thing that evidence indicates might have been done before. Are most people that rise to the highest levels of government saints and altruists? I don't think so. I wouldn't guess so. evidence that I've seen over time seems to indicate quite the contrary. I'm sure some people do go into politics with noble, goals and ambitions, but you wonder if you being a power-hungry person by nature might compromise you in your decision-making. You wonder if your pursuit of larger goals and the ultimate goal might compromise you and your behavior. But, it is very crazy how Mossad, the most maybe sophisticated intelligence organization in the world, failed to recognize the threat or the ambush that was launched on them. That is almost surprising, I'm not saying it was an inside job by Benjamin Netanyahu, but we do have to consider everything, right? That may or may not be at play. And the point of me bringing this up is to say there's a lot that we really don't know, and I know everyone says that there's a lot we don't know, but true, well and truly is true that there is much at play in most any geopolitical matter that you and I, as commoners, aren't aware of. If nothing else, at least be aware of that. At least be skeptical enough to say, why did this happen? Because who stands to benefit from this now, right? If Israel does go ahead and launch an all-out, full-scale attack, and they have carte blanche to now go and basically try to eviscerate Hamas in ways that might have appeared a little unwarranted, perhaps, in the court of public opinion, had it been done unprompted, I lost my train of thought because my sentences were too long and run on, which is a real issue I have. but the thing what I'm trying to say is, it may not be outside the realm of possibility. And of course, the Prime Minister of Israel, particularly if this is untrue, might, and even if it were true, he would obviously have to put on an act and scoff at this and say, bah, we would never do that. But you do not know what is actually going on in any geopolitical matter. People shake hands with the devil and make deals with the devil all the time, particularly if it's going to enable them to achieve their greater goal. So if Netanyahu wants to, gain vast, unanimous support in the Israeli state, he could eviscerate Hamas. To do that, you might need a real acute reason to go on the offensive. That's not what I'm saying I think is necessarily happening. I'm saying that's one possibility. Now, the reason I'm not saying that that's the only possibility. I think there are many other things that could possibly be happening here. Some of them maybe simultaneously together. But the reason I'm bringing up that example of Netanyahu potentially having sold out his own people as an example, the reason I'm bringing that up is because it is obviously a preposterous one, and I'm saying even that shouldn't be off the table. So if we agree that that's not off the table, then what the fuck is, right? There's much that we don't know. Obviously, those involved on the ground believe in what they're doing, and they're doing it by their own free will, and that is concerning. It is concerning to see civilians get killed. It is concerning to see, people want to eviscerate Jews from the planet, and it is concerning to see those people then, it appears, hide behind civilians and be willing to let their own Palestinian people get slaughtered by Israeli counteroffensives. This is all very concerning, but it is still probably much lower level than what could be at play here. There have been efforts in the past several years to try to destabilize the globe. We know about and we hear about these globalist, evil James Bond villain type organizations and entities that make deals in the shadows and that nobody really knows about and that purportedly control the world. And I don't think it would be that, that far-fetched to suggest that this might just be another thing that was enabled to happen in order for a conflict to arise, which might somehow benefit someone or something. We may not know what that thing is until 10 years from now, but, over time it will likely become clear. I think it's beneficial to think of who stands to gain from a thing when trying to speculate as to what is happening. I think the best course of action is to just inform yourself as to what's going on and ponder what it might mean. But obviously, the whole thing is funded by, Hamas, or funded by Iran, who are very concerned that Israel and Saudi Arabia, who have increasingly, as much as we like to poke fun at them, when talking about the Saudi Super League, they've increasingly gone moderate, and they're trying to become more of a beacon of modernity, if nothing else, not because they think it's right necessarily, but because they think it's profitable and because it will enable them to grow in power and expand their sphere of influence, the Saudis, right? So for that reason, the Saudis have been willing, it appears, to come to some kind of agreement with the state of Israel for peace. It wouldn't be the first Israeli peace agreement with another Arab majority or Islamic majority country. Iran and Saudi Arabia are very much at odds with one another because the Iranian government is run by extremists and, do not necessarily have the will of the masses. We saw what happened there 8-9 months ago, right? Just ahead of the World Cup last year. Fuck, it was almost a year ago. Shit, with the large scale, the wide scale protests that occurred in the country. But yeah, I mean, the Iranian regime, which is rather, wealthy and dangerous and ambitious in the Middle East, appears to have, funded Hamas. But then we got to think about who's enabled Iran to exist. And is that now Russia? I do not know. Is Russia trying to divert U.S. military attention from the Ukraine because the U.S. is flooding all of their military efforts and all of their military dollars and a bunch of taxpayer dollars into the Ukraine in an effort to fund that war, to prop up their military industry and their arms industries and their manufacturers of military and defense paraphernalia. I don't know. Could it be that? I don't know. I will say, for all of his faults, Trump has made very clear that his goal was to avoid stuff like this. It's probably the biggest reason why the establishment came out against him. I do think a lot of people, now again, this is an example of some people, pawns, but really believing the thing that they're espousing, right? There are people there in Congress who might actually think that Trump is the devil and so on and so forth, but we have to think about what the greater, reasoning for trying to spread that sentiment might have been by the establishment. Perhaps by spreading such sentiment, they could garner, support among, stupid people, really, who don't really think for themselves, who kind of just go along with narratives without questioning things, to, and easily get them on board to have a large number of people say Trump is this, Trump is that. By the way, you have to also be able to say that Trump isn't necessarily, a shining example of morality in all things, right? I don't know that he's killed people over the years. He seems to have been more of a philanderer. Everyone has vices, and anyway, it's not really the point. But not saying he's Jesus fucking Christ, Donald Trump, But the propagation of anti-Trump sentiment seemed to have been largely pushed by the media establishment because it was aware of the support that he was garnering among the people, among the commoners, when saying things like, we're going to put America first. And when he said stuff like that, he was speaking in, as plain terms he could to appeal to the masses who may not have had the ability to process some of the larger issues at hand. Because, again, you have to appeal to the stupids. That's what you got to do. But what Trump was really trying to say when he was saying, let's put America first and, restore the water in Flint, Michigan, and rebuild our cities and our education systems. What a thing he was saying was, let's stop diverting funds abroad to funding and propping up, wars in foreign countries, and let's try to reinvest it here. Then he packaged it as America first to appeal to, the illiterates, but that was his message, right? And that was a real threat to the media establishment, who came out and tried to, squash him, and a lot of people bought it wholesale and fully bought into it. A lot of pawns. And, I don't know. Look, is this good for the United States if they can now... listen, man. If the United States wants to slowly get out of Ukraine and they think that it's a losing battle and they may not even, have much of a shot there anymore, because Russia is absolutely, they're holding their own. I think they retook coast along the Black Sea, which, again, this is from, I'm relaying this, I'm not a journalist. I'm just a person who consumes news. It seems that Russia's, retaken many of the territories in the south of Ukraine along the Black Sea, where they wanted to maintain control so that they could continue to have access to the sea and the Mediterranean and ship out their oil and, keep their state economically viable. If Russia's been able to do that, and that's really been their only effort in the entire war over there. So I don't know if perhaps the United States understands that the sentiment is changing at home, that people are less, pro-Ukraine than they were, or at least pro that war. Obviously, you don't want people to die. People dying because of invasions and such is unfortunate. But we do have to understand like the larger political reasons for doing these things, right? You have to use your big boy brain. When considering these matters, right? So if the United States is now realizing that the current is shifting against the war in Ukraine, and it's no longer really economically viable to keep trying to prop that war up as long as possible and keep sending, military defense shit over there, maybe it's a move. I'm speculating here, but I'm not fucking Alex Jones, who's getting people on the show to state things matter of factly. I'm which is, again, very fun. That's another beneficial thing about this whole Jesus. It's another beneficial. I'm totally misspoke. That is one fun thing about crazy things like this happening in the world, is you getting to watch, or consume content of people who you would normally consume, but who are now a little bit more amped up, They could yell about it a little more, right? Like, you and I were watching Ben Shapiro before. I was saying, hey, dude, like, obviously what's going on there is really fucked up. You understand why he's upset. I don't mean to trivialize this whole thing, but look, watch this. And then, you hit the episode, the first one following the incident over there. And he starts off and he goes, I am a Jew. And it's like, whoa. It's like, okay, I'm in, and then he just starts, condemning Hamas and saying, we will not be, what does he say? We will be ruthless. We will give them what they deserve. Evil. It is, and it's like, whoa, that sort of thing does kind of fire you up a little bit. Just because as a man, when you hear men yelling about everything, so even if you heard a bunch of terrorists going, we will behead the infidels, you just, that's how you get men to, commit acts of atrocity. There are other factors and variables that go into you being able to commit heinous acts against other human beings, but that is one of them. It's often young men that are doing this, right? They just get fired up. It's why Mussolini was successful. It's why Hitler was, successful. It's why, other politicians have been successful since. Radical or not, even if if nothing else, just using like a strong speech as a tool to get people fired up. But what was I saying when I talked about Alex Jones? Fuck. Jesus. I got off on a side.
It's fun.
No, but no, it's not. It's not
no,
fun.
It's fun to consume that type of media when these things happen.
What did I say before? What was I talking about before that? Jesus
Russia.
fucking. Can we go back in the tape? What the fuck? All right, pause. Hang on. Right. So I was talking about the Ukraine war and how perhaps what we're seeing here is the United States defense industry still needing a war to prop up. They had Afghanistan for a long time, pulled out of there. Months later, Ukraine. Maybe this is just the end of that, or an easing of the funding toward those efforts, because perhaps they're no longer seen as viable ahead of the election, because if it's still an ongoing thing, that will be a real talking point in the current election cycle, which is ramping up in a year, right? Is the next election, right? So perhaps there are efforts now being made to pull back on the Ukraine shit and try to find a new war, a more righteous war to, right, in the court of public opinion, a more righteous war to get behind. So maybe that's what this is. Maybe the United States in some way kind of funded the whole fucking thing, or intentionally or not. Maybe that's why they've been, did they not pay out some crazy sum of money to Iran in exchange for American hostages recently? Anyway, but I'm not suggesting that the United States went over to Netanyahu and said, let's do this. Just let it happen. Please, we'll have your back. We'll get we'll get you. Think about this. United States goes to Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, and says, how would you like for Hamas to no longer exist? He goes, I'm listening. He says, okay, look, we'll prop up your war. We need a new war to prop up. Congratulations, you won the lottery. You're the war that we're going to prop up. You could go fucking smoke these guys, eviscerate them off the face of the earth. Do it in the way that you do it. Do what you got to do, If civilians die on either side. But you will win your war. You will garner support of the Israeli people. There will be no more Gaza when you're done with them. It'll take a couple years, but you have the resources to fight these people, right? Then maybe he says yes, right? Or maybe the United States, backstabs him and funds Iran and kind of hopes, fingers crossed, Iran will fund Hamas because Iran is desperately trying to destabilize peace talks between Saudi Arabia and Israel. So they're going to try to get Israel into a war, which will require them to launch counterstrikes against, Hamas, who are hiding behind civilians, so that civilians then die in Palestine. And it looks horrible because there's footage of Palestinian men holding up their babies dying in the hospital. So then it looks bad on both sides optically, and Saudi Arabia has to say, sorry, no more peace deals. You know what I'm saying? There's so much at fucking play here that it is really crazy to just say, this is the side I stand on. Not because you may not think that one side, it would be better if one side won versus the other. Not because of that, but just because it is small-minded. It is small-minded, So, first off, if you don't empathize with any person that dies that isn't directly involved in this, you're dumb. You're dumb. Yeah, like anyone who says good, they're killing Palestinian kids. Good, fuck them. Which I don't know how many people are actually doing that. I'm sure some people are doing that, but that's wrong. That's fucked up. Now you could be sad about it and say that's not. And by the way, that's not the same as saying Hamas hides in hospitals or underneath hospitals, and hospitals get blown up and sick people get killed, and we don't have much sympathy for that. You still should have sympathy for the people that are dying in the hospital, but it's one thing to say we hate Hamas and we're revolted by the fact that they're hiding behind their own civilians. That's one thing. But it's another whole thing to say, good, I hope more Palestinians die. Again, I don't think that's most people, but there are some people that are thinking that. So if you're that, you're done. If that's you, you're done. Likewise, if you're celebrating the attack on Israel by Hamas, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. If you're celebrating it for as a successful day of business, you're a fucking idiot. You're really small-sighted. You're crazy off the mark. If you think that's the real issue of our time, it is a proxy war being fought by Iran and perhaps the United States in some way. That's what it is. Hamas, Gaza, they are pawns for a larger swath of anti-Semitic Islamic fundamentalists in the Middle East who are happy to see Palestinians get killed if it means that more people can become anti-Israel. It is a great way to propagate your own anti-Semitic ideology, right? If you let Palestinians die, you send them to the slaughterhouse, right? And you say, whatever happens to them, happens to them. If nothing else, at least more people will hate the Jews. Then, if that's what's going on, right? If that is a thing that is going on, which it appears might be, right? Likely is. And you're celebrating Palestine attacking Israeli citizens. You're so far off the fucking mark. You're missing so much of what's really going on if you think that that's the most important matter is, ending what you perceive to be Israeli occupation in Gaza. And you're going into the streets and saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, in the West, countries which, people who have said those words before killing people have hated. There's a little bit of, you just seem a little out of touch. You seem out of touch with what's going on. Pull up the video in Toronto, please. So again, we've discussed how there are probably so many other variables at play here in this whole matter when it comes to, the geopolitics of it all, right? It's not just as simple as it being a localized war. There are, this is not one tribe slaughtering another tribe and another tribe coming back and hitting them back. This is not that. This is larger powers picking sides in this matter and trying to pursue their own greater interests as a result. So we've kind of discussed that really preliminarily, but we've done so. So with that in mind, please pull up this video, Dilo, of people in Toronto celebrating the events of the weekend. Play the video. USA, Canada, Italia. Isn't that great? Dude, when we win a World Cup, we go out in the streets and we go, Italia. These guys are celebrating. These guys are celebrating a group of civilians out of, thin air. Not in a war, not in the context of a war. Again, don't come at me and say they're occupied. It's justified. No. It's out of context. Okay? Instead of launching an attack against a military and trying to engage in some kind of, modern warfare, civilians get killed and you take to the streets and say, woohoo. That just makes you a bit of an idiot. That makes you a bit of a simpleton who's taking a very binary point of view in this whole matter. Don't be that guy. We've all fucking gone to school with these guys who are very, vehemently pro X or Y and this happens all the time. You know how talk to a Romanian guy, okay, about, I'm just pulling Romania out of my ass here. Talk to a Romanian guy about, Nicolae Ceausescu. Talk to a Romanian guy in Canada about Nicolae Ceausescu. I guarantee you he's not going to be a fucking big fan of him, right? Now, I'm sure Ceausescu had supporters back in the day. You know what happened? They stayed in Romania, right? The point is, whoever you talk to, okay, is going to just kind of come with their own bias, right? Which is, a product of their background and their upbringing and so on and so forth. But I'm not poo-pooing the plight of people that are in Gaza, okay, who might or people of Palestinian descent who feel aggrieved by the perceived repossession of their land. I understand that, okay. But what I'm saying, I understand also how Hamas happens, right? It happens through frustration. It doesn't make it right, but it is a thing which we have seen in other regions as well. It seems to be a direction that is gone in sometimes when people in this part of the world feel aggrieved for X, Y, or Z reason. But if you're just going to come out and say, we were here first, that you're so fucking missing the point. I know what happened in after World War II in 1947. I understand that the UN divvied up that region and gave some of it to the Jews who felt they had a claim on it, maybe legitimately so, right? Historically, it's a land that they were in, but then over time that changed. They were pushed out. More people moved in. But if you start getting into who got there first, I mean, they were occupied by Romans at one point, were they not? During the time of Christ, they were literally occupied by Romans. I mean, there are ebbs and flows to society. People conquer. People take over land and territory, and conflict occurs, war occurs, battles occur, land is won. People that used to be in that land feel aggrieved, but if that is the only point of concern of yours, then you are kind of just an idiot. You need to think about the greater things at play and the fact that your small-minded worldview on the matter, on whichever side, in this case, in the case specifically of who was here first, not in the larger conflict, not in this particular war which is now breaking out, but whatever side you're on in the argument of who was here first, if that's the thing you want, like if that's the hill you want to die on, is defending that point of view, you will be used as a pawn by someone else. That is what is happening here. So that's all there really is to say. The point, I guess, of me talking about this is to say, try to inform yourself about everything going on. I don't even, in this episode till now, we've spoken a lot about this. I have not given my personal opinion about anything. I have literally just speculated about things that might, that I suspect might possibly be happening. There are probably a lot of things, given my very limited knowledge as a random civilian in Montreal, Canada, right? As a random civilian of the world, I do not know the intimate, inner workings of what is going on. And on that note, I'm going to just pivot away from this because, again, there's not much that I actually really do know about. I only am able to kind of infer things from the information that is available to me. Yeah, and the crazy thing is, there might be heads of state who aren't even part of the club, right? It's not. I don't think that it's when you become a head of state you automatically just someone gives you a call and says, all right, come meet, come join the boys club. We're gonna tell you what's really going on in the world. Like, it might just be that a lot of heads of state are kept in the dark about this sort of thing. It might just be that a few powers are acting nefariously or not. And you know what? Here's the crazy irony of it all. You can, in my opinion, you can wish that innocent people don't get killed ever by a guy in the street, just walking down the street, some guy just deranged shanks a guy. You could not want innocent people to die ever. You could want people to live in total safety and in some kind of idealistic, utopic, peaceful world where the risk of being, raped or robbed or burgled or killed or assaulted or battered doesn't exist. You could want that, but also say, you know what, like, this is kind of just how things are done. Is it wrong? Probably. Morally, yeah. But there's a chance that I'm not willing to even forego or ignore the possibility that it might be beneficial somehow, just for the world to exist as it is, for there to be some kind of continued conflict constantly. I would rather that not be the case, but who knows, my point is, consider all avenues, right? Is it possible that there are people who are, nefariously going about these campaigns to start wars, places, because it just profits them? Maybe it could be as simple as that. Could it also be that there's a real fear that, not having that would somehow destroy the world, because people would have, citizens would have, no fear, and they would overthrow governments, and then, there would be civil unrest in many more countries in the world. I don't know. I don't know who runs the world. I don't suspect it's the United Nations on its own. I don't suspect it's world leaders on their own. I think there might be a lot of other things going on, and sometimes all you could do is look at it and just say, I'll try to inform myself as much as possible, but this is really frustrating, and I'd just rather watch the Azzurri play soccer. You understand? That's kind of where it all comes back. Yeah. So, and that's why most of the time, while things are going on in the world, I'm not talking about geopolitics, right? I'm talking about culture, because that's like kind of where I want to come back to zero. That is homeostasis for Sam, right? We talk about Calcio, insanity, his life, whatever. That's what he talks about. And then sometimes when like crazy blips happen, maybe then we'll talk about it and just remind people, hey, be aware of this. But otherwise, yeah, we're just going to come back to talk about fucking football because, as long as the world is going on, as long as the world isn't destroyed, I think a lot of people won't have the bandwidth to consume all the news on what may or may not be going on in any geopolitical matter, and they'll say, you know what, I got to live my life. I don't want to fucking live this way. I don't want to lose my mind. Alex Jones, by the way, like he's very much like he's really dialed in with what's going on. He's fucking always reading shit, and he's lost his fucking mind. He said, I'm going crazy. I've gone crazy. I am crazy. I've gone nuts. All I'm doing is reading articles over the year. It's like, yeah, no kidding. If you kind of like try to pay attention to too many of the conspiracies that are going on in society, you will go nuts. And so on that note, Luciano Spalletti released an Azzurri squad. Let's talk about it. 'Cause fuck it. This is still the Calcio podcast / the Bordello. Yeah, whatever. Let's talk about that. Well, you want to we're not sharing screen anymore, but let's I'll pull it up in a sec. I want to tell you a story. About something that happened. Now that I've kind of just acknowledged, yeah, I understand that what's going on in the world is kind of fucked up. Please, I'm not out here complaining about the lovely dinner that I went to the other night, but I'm going to complain about it now that I've prefaced it with 45 minutes of Israel-Palestine talk. Okay, I think that's enough. That's enough preamble. Good. I understand that that's horrible. I'm not saying that I have it worse than the people that are getting beheaded and raped and pillaged in around Gaza. I'm not saying I have it worse off than the people that are getting killed by Israeli counterstrikes. I'm not saying that. But I got to say, I went to dinner on Friday and okay. It's raining outside, huh? Are we picking it up on the mics? You think the mics are picking up the rain?
It's picking up a bit.
Picking up low rain? Nice. It's like ASMR. It's like relaxing. Okay, let's settle in here. The rain is falling. It's story time. So I go out to dinner on Friday night with a few other couples for my girlfriend's birthday. We go to a restaurant which shall not be named because it's now overrun with criminals. I'll tell you privately off prod. I can give a hint about where it is, but the hint is going to be too obvious to anyone that's in the know. I won't bother revealing what the restaurant is. There's no point in me doing so. We have dinner. The owner's in Florida. They're opening a restaurant down there. Because when you own a SPAC-owned business in Montreal or Toronto, you open up one in Florida. Then you hope that you could do New York, Dubai. Milos did it the best. Milos is going to become like a new Nobu. They are top-tier service everywhere they go. Top-tier experience, fucking top-tier food, simple. I like Greek food more than I like any other cuisine other than Italian, arguably, personally, because my favorite food, how about this? I grew up having a lot of Italian food. I'm around it a lot. My favorite food to consume that is kind of outside of my family's, sphere of expertise is Greek food because it's simple. French food's good. It's very tasty, but it's very extravagant. It's very elaborate. And what I like about Greek food is it's very simple. They don't fuck around. They don't overcomplicate it. French food. We have a croquette and this and this sauce. This lamb cooked to perfection with these vegetables with a reduction of the Greeks. Here's the fish. Eat the fish. Here's the fish. Take the fish. We'll give you fish with the bones, the head. You eat the cheeks, the eyes. Eat the fish. Take the fish. Eat it. And the French are like, don't eat it. If you can't appreciate it, don't eat it. Don't eat it. You're not refined enough. The Greek, here, the fish. You go, we put oil on the fish, a little tomato. Eat the fish. It's a Greek salad. Eat the cucumber, little onion, the feta tomato. 4 ingredients, very simple. You go to the best Greek restaurants in the world, you'll get a great Greek salad. That's what I like about them. Milos does that well. Simple. They stick to it. Bashed. That's it. This other restaurant in Montreal, which shall remain nameless, is looking to open an establishment in Miami. Already, you're doomed. The first restaurant needs to be in Italy, unless it is. It was an Italian restaurant. Fine, there, I said it. Fine. I'll reveal that. It was an Italian restaurant. Great, fine. The fucking waiter didn't know what a primo and a secondo was, okay? Like, it was bad. Now, again, I don't care because I find everything hilarious and funny. I'm not a Karen. I don't give a shit. You know, I expect to be disappointed constantly in life when I go out to do things. I expect everything to suck. And because everything is now good, this is a Seinfeld bit, everything's good and it sucks. You know? Louis C.K. had a similar thing. He was like, everything's great. Everything's awesome now, and we're upset about it. Like how when you're on a plane, you complain there's no Wi-Fi. It's like, you're in a fucking metal box in the sky. You know, that was his bit. And Seinfeld was like, how's the hot dog at the Mets game? It sucks, but it's great. Like everything, because there's good food everywhere now. You know, Montreal in particular this is a real thing in Montreal, man. We're a very cosmopolitan city. It's a very global city. So we have a lot of great cuisines available to us, and to the point that if you were to like go to Jamaica, if you had like some of the best Jamaican food here, there's better Jamaican food in Toronto. But still, there's like one really good spot here called Jeanette's, which I'm reluctant to share, but not a lot of people listen to the podcast, so it's fine. It's not going to blow the place up because I want not a lot of people to know about it. Because already when you fucking call them, they say, you know, hey, can I be there in 30 minutes? Yeah, make it 45. Like they'll do that all the time. Like it fucking takes forever to get your food there. It's popular, but still kind of not well known. Like, did you know about it?
I don't know.
It's 10 minutes from here, and it's the fucking best Jamaican food, like, maybe ever. So, anyway, we have them. So, the food here is so good to the point that if you were to have Jeanette's and then go to Jamaica, it would probably be, like, the difference would probably be, like, it would be negligible. You know what I'm saying? So, because there is good food here, we kind of expect good food all the time, everywhere, and if it's a little bit under par, we go, we shrug a lot. We go, how is it? It's okay. But, like, it was a good meal overall. But whatever. We just, like just 20 years ago, nobody knew what a primo and a secondo is, but because now, there are a bunch of different fucking restaurants that will sell you a burrata, you know, there are a bunch of fucking restaurants coming up, Italian restaurants popping up, you know. Everyone's going to Italy. Everyone's been to Positano now. If you haven't, what are you doing? Fucking kill yourself. You haven't been to Positano, you know? You know what I'm saying? Well, that's what it feels like sometimes. It's like, what, you not been to Positano? You haven't taken a fucking picture in front of those fucking those houses over the cliffside? Just kill yourself. What are you doing? Like, you know, how can you be a member of society who hasn't been to Positano, you know? So people are more aware of this now. So it's kind of scandalous when a waiter in an Italian restaurant doesn't know what the primo secondo is. Anyway, but fuck, I'm all over the map here. I think, so Milos opened in Greece first. That was a good move, I think. Then they opened in New York. They might have opened in New York after they opened in Montreal, but they eventually opened in Greece pretty quickly. Before they opened in Dubai, Miami, all the scumbag places. Vegas, right? Toronto now. Gross. Dude, a fucking... so, you know, before you open up where bankers are going to go use the expense accounts, you know, and abuse them, and then go to fucking, you know, bang strippers after... You were in Greece. That right? So this Italian restaurant is going right to Miami. Not a great sign. This is why men think about the Roman Empire, by the way. Just so you know. Like when the Roman Empire so the owner of the restaurant and their daughter, I won't reveal if it's a man or a woman, are in Florida right now, opening up the new restaurant. And there's you know, the seat of power in Montreal is getting fucked up, right? This is a very good, very well-known restaurant, right? So I'm sitting down, right? The girls are kind of upset because they just get upset over this sort of thing. Again, I expect to get disappointed. The girls are like, well, no, this isn't what I expected. I expected a better experience. And I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. Moving on. I'm ready to tip the guy and fucking leave. We do. Like, the guy doesn't bring out a fucking, you know, cake for my girlfriend's birthday, even though he's supposed to. We're all like, you know what, fuck this guy. We're getting out of here. We pay. Now we're just chilling. It's a Friday night. It's late. It's like 11:30 at night. So we paid and no one's in the restaurant anymore. But some people are still there. Like, you know, we're not holding up the staff. We're able to kind of just chill. So I get up to go to the fucking bathroom because I paid the bill. I paid the bill on my credit card. And I'm a germaphobe. So I want to go to the bathroom to wash my hands and to wash my credit card. Because it's in the fucking machine. Everyone's touching it. Money's dirty. Whatever. This is what I do. Don't look at me that way. I fucking, you know, I wash my hands, right? You
You lost your credit card?
Yeah, it's plastic. I wash money. I used to work at a bank when I was in high school, dude. When I was in fucking university, I should say. Excuse me. It's filthy. You wash it with soap and scorching water.
Filthy, it's just
You wash it.
I don't even think of that.
Yeah, I do. So I go to the bathroom. There's a men's and a women's washroom, naturally. Now, I've been in the bathroom previously, and then I had to take a piss or whatever. And I noticed there's a lock on the door. Like, to the point that, like, we all could have, like, taken turns and gone to bang our girlfriends in the bathroom and full-on lock in, like, in the whole bathroom. You could lock the whole fucking bathroom, right? And so I go to the washroom. I get up to go. As I'm entering the bathroom, again, it's like 11, it's like almost midnight now, right? It's like scary hours, right? And the place is crawling with escorts. The place is crawling with fucking escorts, not classy ones. Moroccan ones, Algerian ones, crop tops, white jeans, going to the bathroom every 30 minutes, clearly to do blow, right? There are guys in backwards hats now entering the establishment, sitting around the bar in sweatsuits and stuff, you know, to buy drinks and, you know, fuck the escorts, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Do blow with them. I get up to go to the bathroom. As I'm entering the bathroom, there's a guy entering it with a woman. Now, me, knowing that there's a lock on it, assuming, well, he's going to fuck her, I'm, like, kind of frozen, right? Like, what do I do? Do I go in or not? As I'm hesitating, right? Well, it feels like forever, but it's really, like, probably 2 seconds. I'm, like, debating, do I enter? Do I not? The guy turns to me, he goes, you're a comedian, right? I go, what? I go, excuse me? He goes, yeah, you're a comedian, right? We saw you at Melrose that one time. I go, and now, I was at Melrose 2 weeks ago. I fucking ate shit there. I yelled at the fucking, someone heckled me. I fucking yelled at her. I told her to go fucking die. Like, I told her to go die. You know, whatever. So it was a whole thing. So I'm thinking, so now I'm thrown off because I was like, fuck, I hope they weren't at that show. I'm like, which one were you at? And they were like, oh, this show with, I don't know, they name another comic with Rashid Badouri a while back. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I'm thrown off because this guy recognizes me. And I'm like, great, I'm going to enter this fucking bathroom to wash my credit card. You know, I look like a freak. And I noticed I had like a little pimple kind of like just inside my beard, and I wanted to just go fucking squeeze it. So I'm like, great, now I can't squeeze the pimple. Now I'm also thinking I don't want to cock block the guy. I don't want to look like socially unaware. So I'm like, you know, I'm outside the bathroom. Do I step in? Do I not? And he goes, you're a comedian, right? Yeah, I saw you. We saw you at Melrose. He's there with his girlfriend. We saw you. Yeah, you know, you're funny, whatever. I see you on TikTok. You had the podcast, right? I go, yeah, I do. Yeah, come in. Don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, I don't want to cock block. No, we're good. I'm so stupid. I'm such a fucking animal, dude. I think he's going to fuck this girl. I think he's going to fuck his girlfriend or his wife, whatever. I start washing my hands. I don't wash the credit cards. I don't look like a fucking idiot, so I put it in my, you know, I hide it, right? And he, you know, he offers me a little strish. He fucking, I never been offered coke in the bathroom ever. I fucking turn. He goes, oh, you want? I go, no, I don't do that. Sober October. No, thank you, you know. And yeah, he does a little strish in the bathroom openly. And he goes, yeah, you know, he goes, it's like family here. We're like family here. They're like family, you know. Yeah, the owner's in Florida. They're opening a new place in Miami. Yeah, I've been coming here for years. You know, it's like family here. It's great. It's a great place. You know, how old are you, bro? You're 26. I'm 30. Me, I'm 38. And then he's got that confidence, right? Like that coke-induced confidence. His girlfriend goes into the bathroom stall. He's going in with her, and he goes, "Oh, but you listen, bro." He goes, "You know what? Hammer him harder. You're 26. Fuck it. You got a long road ahead. Keep doing what you're doing. Hammer him harder." I go, "Yeah, you know, fuck it. We don't deserve any nice things, as in Italians." Then he turns to me and he goes, "Oh, what are you talking about? We're the best." Now I immediately fucking walk it back, and I'm just like, oh, no, well, of course. I mean, no, I love being the top. But, you know, like, I just mean, you know, I'm fucking stumbling over my words. He's like, oh, yeah, anyway, bye, bro. And he fucking goes into the fucking bathroom to go do blow. Caught there with my fucking tail between my legs, right? Pissed off that I didn't get to, like, wash my credit card. And I was so flustered, I didn't even think to keep washing it at that point. And I left. So that's who listens to the pod. So when I talk about Israel and Palestine, I'm trying to say, I'm pleading to them, please read read news on both sides. Try to inform yourself. That's who I'm pleading to. That's great. You know? Fucking, yeah. But, yeah. He goes, hammer him harder. I go, yeah, you're right. We don't deserve nice things. He goes, no, we're the best. I'm like, well, no, of course we're the fucking best. I just mean, you know, only we could talk shit about us is what I said. I was like, well, no, but, you know, we could talk shit about us, right? Like black guys saying the M word. Only they could do it, you know? Like, I just capitulated right away. I didn't, like, buckle down. I didn't bite down on the mouthpiece and go, no, we are the worst. We fucking deserve nothing. You know, I ain't bothered telling him, oh, I'm just joking. I was just trying to get a laugh, you know. But, yeah. Okay, Luciano Spalletti, Azzurri. Let's look at it. We're at an hour. Let's fucking talk about it. Fucking, I don't care. Let's talk about this and we'll wrap. We'll look back at the games next week. Unless, I don't know, fucking terrorist attack occurs as somewhere, I don't know, in New York, whatever. We've shown that nothing is off limits. I'm going to New York, by the way. That is happening. Just to be clear, it is happening. And when I'm there, I'm going to inquire about the paperwork. And if asylum makes sense, it will be asylum. That is all I will say. Yvan is on the case. Our lawyer is on the case. But yeah, I mean, so as we've demonstrated, nothing is off limits here. I mean, if something crazy happens, we'll talk about that, I guess. But I suspect that next week we'll talk about the Azzurri. And when are the games, by the way?
Malta and...
When?
Oh, when?
14th and 17th?
Saturday and I think Tuesday.
Are we the 10th today?
We're the 10th.
So, okay, so great. So the next pod, let's try to look to record next week. Assuming I'm still in Montreal, which I might be. Let's try to record right after the game. Maybe we'll do a live pod during the England game. That could be very interesting. Okay, great. Bookmarked. But maybe not. We'll see. I might want to watch it. Maybe we'll live stream it. Anyway, not promising anything now. But anyway, we'll talk about the games next week. But let's just go over the squad real quick, because next week, when the games will have both happened, or at least when one will have happened and the other one is taking place, we're not going to want to talk about the team itself. This is an interesting squad that we've got here. We've got 27 guys called up, 4 goalkeepers, so call it 26, because one of them will have to get released for the games. Just gonna fucking lean in here because the screen recording is off. I'm gonna read off who's on. Maybe just overlay this in the background while we're talking about this, just for the people watching on YouTube. But yeah, so we have in goal, we have Donnarumma, Meret, Provedel, and Vicario. Perfect. No issues there. Some people are still advocating for the taking over of the Donnarumma spot by Vicario. I don't think that's going to happen. Provedel maybe can start at striker, I guess. I don't know. Fucking the athleticism that he displays and the attacking runs that he makes. A lot of defenders. Okay, so we have Acerbi, Bastoni, Biraghi, Darmian, Di Lorenzo, Di Marco, Gatti, Mancini, Scalvini, and Udoge. How many defenders is that? 10. Okay. Probably cut 2 of them. Maybe one attacker gets cut as well. Let's just kind of break down. Okay, so we got Acerbi, Bastoni, Gatti, Mancini, and Scalvini as center backs. Then we have Udoge, Di Marco, Di Lorenzo, Darmian, and Biraghi as fullbacks. Okay. Interesting. Well, Di Lorenzo stays. I would keep Udoge. If you're going to call him up, fucking play him.
Play him in the Malta game
Play him in the Malta game at least. And if he does well, play him in the England game too. He's playing in England. He understands the pace of that league. Many of the English players are playing in the Premier League. Most of them are, right? So, Di Marco is a very well-regarded player. He didn't have a great last break, but he probably will still get the nod ahead of Udoge. I would cut Biraghi, I don't think it's that tough of a call here. I would cut Biraghi. I would keep the kid Udoge. I think he offers more going forward. But I think the deal is I think Biraghi is probably going to offer more in terms of defensive solidity, at least in the mind of Spalletti. Fiorentina are doing quite well, I will say. You can't really get that mad at him continuing to get called up. Biraghi, that is. But very meritocratic call-up list, I'd say. I mean, so Romagnoli didn't impress last time out, and Acerbi's back, who's not had a horrible season. He's older. At least Toloi's not there, I think Toloi offers a lot less than Acerbi. I think Acerbi offers a little more stability, solidity. I like Gianluca Mancini a lot because he's a fucking prick, and he's easy to hate.
Yeah.
If you hate that guy when watching him in Serie A, then you have to be happy that he's Italian if you're an Italian national. No issues there. The real kind of... So where it gets interesting for me is in midfield and attack. Has Fabiano Parisi been playing much for Fiorentina? Did he start for them against Napoli? We'll look it up real quick. Sorry, we should have fucking prepped this. I mean, Fiorentina handily beat Napoli on the weekend. It looks like Antonio Conte is going to be taking them over, which would be very scary. Look out for them to make a late fucking comeback for the title maybe if Antonio Conte takes over. I'm not even kidding. That would be crazy. The Rudy Garcia appointment did feel a little weird. Yeah, so Fabiano Parisi is their starting left back right now. He's been starting pretty much most games. Okay, great. So good for him. Udoge gets some. Excuse me. Udoge gets the nod over him. So Fabiano Parisi starting at Fiorentina and is keeping Biraghi on the bench. You got to think that the people in Florence who were watching the team pretty closely must find that kind of crazy, right? Because everyone likes a young player. Everyone likes an exciting, attack-driven player, and Parisi is that. Biraghi is not. Biraghi didn't even play in the game against Napoli. He didn't even come off the bench. Interesting. So we'll watch that space. It's cool. It's cool. Is that for me? Oh,
no, I thought you were like
struggling. No,
yeah.
I just gave up on it. I just gave up on it. Please. I don't want to appear like I'm fucking abusing my power over here. You're fucking opening the water bottles for me. In midfield, we have Barella, Bonaventura, Cristante, Fratesi, Locatelli, and Tonali. Okay. Interesting. Fagioli's not called up. He could have been, but Jack Bonaventura's had a really good season so far. I'm not mad at it. It's a very meritocracy based call up list here. Fratesi was always going to get called up again. Lorenzo Pellegrini's not there. I assume he must be injured, right? Anytime he's not there, he must be injured, right? Is he hurt?
Not sure.
Can you look that up, please? I'm sorry. I know we're not sharing a screen here. Normally, Dilo, when I share a screen, we have to kill it just for a sec for like a tech reason. So Dilo has to kind of take his laptop back and forth. But while you look that up, I'll say this. I mean,
yeah, he's injured.
He is injured. Okay, great. So there are some key injuries here, which are keeping some of the best players out of the team. I think Retegi's one of them. He's injured. Immobile is out of the team. I do not think that he's one of the best players on the team, but he's injured and he's out. He probably would have been there. Let's see how we do without him. I think he won't offer a whole hell of a lot. He wouldn't offer a whole hell of a lot anyway, and we didn't look lost without him against the Ukraine when he didn't start last. So I'd be happy to just keep him out of the fucking team, but he'll probably realistically be back when he's healthy, unless someone grabs the bull by the horns. Berardi's back. You can't really be that mad at it.
No.
Moise Kean is there, which is odd. I don't know whether he offers a whole hell of a lot. If you play him out wide, I guess. He's just not playing very well. He's not playing very dominantly. He's not confident like he was a couple years ago when he came into the U-Bet team. It's hard to really get excited about seeing him in the team anymore, but I guess what other options are there, right? Fucking, Who's omitted here? Balotelli, Zaniolo, Zaccagni, Scamacca, Raspadori, Keane, Chiesa, and Berardi. Matteo Politano's out. I think he's healthy and he's out. So that's an odd one. Maybe, that's a bit of an oddity there. But I guess, Keane, Scamacca, and Raspadori are the only center forwards there. So Keane's got to stay in. Fuck, who are they going to cut from this team? It'll be interesting to see who he cuts. And I suspect it might be someone who you're going to be, who you would have been excited to see or watch play, but whatever. I'm not that mad at this team. I can't think of any glaring omissions. Feels like Jorginho's done now.
Yeah.
Verratti going to Qatar is kind of like...
He's finished.
He's not formally retired, but... Is he finished? I mean, he's still...
No, I think he's still a great player. I just think now that he's gone to Qatar, he's not going to get the national team call-up.
Yeah. I still like him. I still would. But, you make your choices. You make your choices when you fucking, when you chase the money. Ask Lorenzo Insigne that, right? He knows. He wants to come back to Lazio now, do you see?
Mm.
What the fuck is going to happen if he comes back to Italy, Is he back in the fray? What if he dominates for them? Doesn't Zaccagni play out on the left side?
Yeah.
He's not starting over Zaccagni.
I don't think it's going to happen realistically.
No. There's no way. It's just a fucking... No. It can't happen. It can't happen. A new coach is going to come in. He's going to stay in Toronto, dude.
Yeah.
Think about it.
$10 million.
I heard it's 14 or 15. I think it's 10 million net.
No.
I don't know. Yeah, John Herdman's coming in, I think, this week. Or what? The season's ending. The Canadian national team coach is coming in. He'll probably say, Lorenzo, I think you're a great player. You're getting paid a lot of money. Just stay. Give it a chance. He's going to say, who is this guy?
Fuck you. No, what did he say?
Respect. He's going to say, waste, man. Waste, man. I mean, yeah, I don't think he's going to give that much reverence to John Herdman, but you never know. Everyone who's played under him has kind of indicated that they'd run through a wall for him. Maybe he's really good at stroking your ego. And I think that is actually the way to speak to Lorenzo Insigne. Anyway, we'll see how... I mean, look. I don't have any... There are no glaring omissions here from this team that I can think of. Fabiano Parisi, maybe, instead of Biraghi. But we're starting to see who Spalletti likes. He likes Biraghi. He likes Scalvini. He likes Di Lorenzo. No surprise there. He likes Darmian. Called him up twice. He likes Fratesi. He likes Cristante. But, you know, I don't know why you'd get rid of any of those guys anyway, right? Like, who do we tie against before the Ukraine last? Fucking Macedonia. Right. Beat England and it all goes away. Kill Malta. Whatever.
Even a tie against England, I still...
Yeah, I think they got to go for the win. It's a big one, man. I'm going to be all in on that, man. I'm going to be fucking really
excited. Just getting a
excited
point
for that
against
game.
England, I don't think Ukraine or Macedonia get points against them, so I think we'll be safe.
It's a big weekend.
Yeah.
It's a really big fucking weekend. So next pod we'll dive into that a little more. It'll probably be the main subject of the next pod. So get excited for that. Read the news. Form your own opinions. That's it. Follow, yeah, it's pissing right now. All right, it's our cue to wrap. Follow me at I'm Sam Adamo. Subscribe if you're new. Hit thumbs up, please. Alla prossima. Ciao.